With the pandemic unlikely to be over and with serious concerns about the reliability of the US Postal Service, there are still big questions about this fall's vote. But one thing that Ohioans can count on with elections is lawsuits. Statehouse correspondent Jo Ingles has more.
Turnout is expected to be high for this general election, and many voters who have voted in person in the past are likely to want to vote by mail. That's why this letter, sent recently to secretaries of state, including Ohio's Frank LaRose, is raising eyebrows. In it, Postmaster General Louis DeJoy warns Ohio of delays in delivering the mail that could result in voters not being able to cast their absentee ballots in time for them to count for the November election. That news is leading for many to call for more ballot drop boxes. Now, there's only one at every county board of elections in Ohio, and each one is different. Those ballots are secured in those boxes until elections officials pick them up, so voters can bypass the mail altogether. In Franklin County, the box is in front of the building, but not near the main entrance. Some counties, like Guernsey, have the box in front of the building, but a voter would need to park the car. Many have drive-thrus. The slim box at Lake County could be easy to miss. And Cuyahoga County's is located in the small parking lot behind the board offices, and a line of cars could easily back up onto busy streets. Many are not conveniently located. Hamilton County Commissioner and Democratic former state representative Denise Driehaus says it takes an hour just to get to that county site for those traveling by bus. And it's a traffic nightmare for drivers, too.
They have some parking, but it's not huge. And so there's always a line that wraps around the building, both to drop the ballots, but also the early voting. And so it gets so congested in the parking lot, in the streets that are surrounding the Board of Elections. It's just a mess.
Delaware County's Board of Elections is 2.5 miles north of the city in a strip mall. The Dropbox drive-thru is behind the building next to the dumpsters. But Secretary of State Frank LaRose has decided against additional drop boxes.
This is something I think is a fine idea to look at for the future. I hope that the legislature weighs in on this and it can be done in an equitable way. But with just under 3 months to go until Election Day, I don't think it's a time to change the way that we've done things here in Ohio and add new drop boxes and questions about the validity of that, and also to risk litigation. This is not something that I think may happen. This is something that I know would happen.
And it did. The Ohio Democratic Party filed a suit this week against LaRose, saying there's nothing in law that prevents more drop boxes.
But the reason we're bringing it up right now with such urgency is in this pandemic, when the post office is also under attack, the drop boxes are almost the perfect solution.
And a second lawsuit was also filed this week, this time by the ACLU of Ohio, over the requirement that signatures match on ballots and applications for ballots.
But signature matching is grossly inaccurate so much of the time. You know, your signature doesn't always look the same. A great deal of natural variation occurs, especially over time. In fact, research has shown that in practice, only 3% of rejected signatures are actually invalid. So 97% of rejections are wrong.
That lawsuit asks voters whose signatures are questioned be given more time to prove they're legitimate. And it asks that boards of elections call or email people whose signatures are questioned rather than relying on mailed letters. If there are delays with mailed ballots this year, a University of Florida political science professor who works with the United States Election Project says it might be Republicans who are disproportionately affected. That's because more Republican voters live in rural areas, and those areas are dependent now more than ever on post offices in cities where more progressive voters tend to live.
In a rural area, when you put your mail ballot into your mailbox, it doesn't go to your local office and then get sorted there and get sent back out to the local election office. Instead, your mail goes to a central processing facility in a large city, and then it gets routed back out down to your local post office, which then gets sent to your elections office. And so there's an extra trip there.
McDonald looked at mail-in ballots that were received too late to be counted in the most recent primaries and found in the big 3 urban Ohio counties, 1.7% of ballots arrived too late to be counted. In 66 rural counties, which total 3/4 of the state, on average, more than twice as many ballots arrived late. On Thursday, a third lawsuit was filed in federal court, arguing for more drop boxes. And all of the groups involved in these lawsuits say action needs to happen soon to fix potential problems for this fall. Jo Ingles, Statehouse News Bureau.